Hey guys, and welcome to another Google SketchUp for Schools tutorial. Today we're going to be designing and building a birdhouse feeder combo. And so as we scroll around this current model, you can see that we have the front of it with our perch, and we have the back side with the feeder, and this is going to be a self feeder with any bottle that you have available at home. So the whole purpose of this is going to be, it's a technical drawing. So the first thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be laying out all of our pieces. Now, all of these pieces that you need to build this can be built off of a single picket. The picket dimensions are going to be 5.5 inches wide, a 1/2 inch thick, and 6 feet long. And so with that single picket, you'll be able to cut that up following these instructions, and you'll be able to build this birdhouse. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go to our files. We're going to hit New. Once the new file is open, the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to delete Freddy. We're going to go up to where it says Untitled, and we're going to name our project as Birdhouse / Feeder Project. Okay. It's going to open our Google Drive. We're going to select the folder where we want all our SketchUp projects to be saved. We're going to hit select. And once it's there, we're ready to start. Okay, so like I said, the first thing we're going to do is going to lay out all of our pieces. So we're going to scroll over here, kind of move over so that way we're kind of centered on this, on our area right here. We're going to scroll in. And so we're going to be building everything on the floor here. And then we'll rotate everything up to construct our project. So the first tool that we're going to use is our rectangle tool. We're going to select that rectangle tool, and we're going to draw our first piece, which is going to be the bottom base. So again, all of our pieces are going to be 5.5 inches wide, comma, and then there'll be the different lengths. So this first bottom base is going to be 10 inches. All of our pieces are a 1/2 inch wide. So here we go, 1/2 inch. Using our push-pull tool, let's rotate over. Okay, so this is our first piece. And so what we're going to do is we're going to label this just to make sure that we know what all our pieces are. Okay, and so we're going to go to our text tool. Okay, and we're going to go to our center point, our midpoint on our piece. We're going to draw it out, and it already gives us our dimension, which is the 10 inch, and we're going to label that as our bottom base. Is our first piece, and we're ready to go. Okay, so go back up to your rectangle tool. Now we're going to be doing our right and left side. So both the right and left side are both going to be 9 inches long. So you're going to start off again with that 5.5 inches for our width, comma, 9 inches for our length. We're going to use our push-pull to bring that up, that 1/2 inch. So now instead of drawing that again, what we're going to do is we're going to copy that. So either way you can do it. You can either triple click to select the entire piece, or you can have your select tool and you can drag and select. Either way, okay? And so once you have it selected, you're going to go to your move tool. You're going to hit your control key, and then you're going to copy that piece. And so those are our 9 inch pieces. Now we're going to label them. So we'll go back over to our text tool, find that midpoint again, bring it back out. You can see that it has 9 inches. We're going to label that as our right side. Then we're going to go back and do the same thing for the left side. There we go. All right, so we're moving along quite nicely. The next thing that we're going to be doing is our front side. So back over to your rectangle tool, we're going to again draw your rectangle. So it's going to be 5.5 inches, and this one is going to be 9 5/8. So 9 space 5/8. Make sure you put your inch notation, hit enter. Okay, so for this one right here, I'm going to move it over a little bit so that we're all in line, and then we're going to push and pull it up again, 1/2 inch. Okay, and so this is just replicating us cutting up our picket, right? So labeling and all that is not really necessary, but if you want to use this as a technical drawing where somebody else could look at your drawing and replicate it, then that's why we're doing this. So that way you or somebody else that's looking at this can automatically see which pieces are needed, how long they need to be, and how to cut up their picket. So this is going to be that front side. There we go. All right, we're going along. So next thing, back up to that rectangle tool again. Okay, so now we're going to zoom in a little bit. And on this one right here, we're going to draw it out. And so this is going to be our back side. This is going to be 7.5 inches. So again, first number always is going to be that width. So it's going to be 5.5 inches, comma, 7.5 inches. And then we're going to push and pull that up for that 1/2 inch. Okay, come back over here quickly. We're going to find that midpoint again, and we're going to label this one as the back side. All right, here we go. Back over to your rectangle tool. We're almost there, guys. We're almost there. Pretty soon we'll be able to start rotating and cutting these pieces and placing them to our build, right? So this one is going to be our roof. This is the longest piece you have. So 5.5 inches again, and then this one is going to be 1 foot, 1 3/4 inches. So this one is going to be 1 foot space 1 3/4 inches. Again, come up to that push pull. You're going to hit your 1/2 inch. There we go. All right, so let's label that out. Find the midpoint. We'll label this one as the roof. Okay. And so now all we have left now, guys, is the feeder, right? So we're going to be doing the feeder side 1, feeder side 2, and then our feeder back. Now on the feeder side 1 and feeder side 2, those are both only going to be 1 inch. And again, we're going to do our move tool and copy those. And then our back side is 1.5 inches. So real simple. Let's go back over here. Let's kind of get us back into a position where we can see. Go back up to our rectangle tool. Okay, so we're going to draw our rectangle. This is going to be 5.5 inches again, comma, and then only 1 inch. And we're going to have 2 of those. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back in here. I'm going to push and pull that up to that 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to select it. So again, you can triple click, or you can just hit your select and you can drag and drop either one. And once you do that, you're going to go back over here to this move tool. Okay, make sure you're on the face. You're going to hold down your control key on your keyboard, and then you're just making a copy. And then our last one is going to be 1.5 inches. So let's go back up here to our rectangle. I'm going to draw this out here real quick. And this is going to be that 5.5 inches again. And then this is going to be 1.5 inches. Boom. And oh, we went down, so that's why it looks weird, right? It's down there. It's okay. We're going to move that up. So come back over here to our push-pull, and we're going to pull that up by that 1/2 inch. And then what we'll do is we will select it, and then we're going to use our move tool to move this over here. Back in line with the rest of it. Sometimes that happens with SketchUp. Good practice. Okay, guys, so that is our pieces. Okay, so we got these last ones. So that is all our pieces, guys. And so when you guys scroll back out, you're going to be able to see this is kind of our layout, right? So we're laid out, we're ready. And so we may have to move a couple little pieces around. You can see how some of our pieces kind of got off the ground a little bit. That's okay. Okay, so we're not going to spend too much time on that. But what we are going to do is we are going to move some of this around, right? And so what I want you guys to do is you're going to use your select tool. You're going to select all your pieces. And you're going to hit your control key and your move key again, and we're making a copy, okay? So control and move. Let's move that over here. Okay, and now what you're going to do is you're going to unselect, and you're going to just start going through and just deleting all of your labels. This is what we're going to be constructing our pieces out of, right? So now we have our layout, and so if you ever confuse what piece is what, you can always come back and do that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start constructing, okay? And to do that, now remember, whenever you're moving these pieces, if you don't make them into a group, you have to make sure that they're fully selected. So this is our bottom base, right? So this is what we know that we're starting with, okay? The next thing that we want to have is our front side, okay? So that's going to be this top piece right here, okay? And so what you're going to do is you're going to triple select that piece, make sure it's fully selected, okay? Sometimes it's a little tricky. All right, there we go. Okay, so we're going to move that, okay? And so the other thing that you can do to prevent it from screwing up your piece is you can make it into a group. We can always explode that later. So that's what we're going to do. Let's make it into a group. That would be easier. All right, so now you want to make sure that you are oriented correctly. And so you're going to go back over here where your move tool is. You're going to go to rotate, and you're going to have your piece selected, and you're going to rotate it up this direction until it's parallel. Okay. And so that's the front side. And so now we're going to move it on top, right? So now we're doing assembly. Now this is the part in SketchUp that gets a little hard, right? So sometimes you have to, it's all about angles, right? So you have to like move it around until you hit your angles that you want. Because we're doing assembly right now. And now I'm going to look straight at this project, and I'm going to move it up. Boom. All right. All right, there's our first piece, looking pretty good, okay? So now what you're going to do is we're going to start, and we're just going to go piece by piece. So that was your front side, right? And so on this front side, let's actually, so this is going to be important, right? So for the front side, off your base, it actually has to be parallel with the ground, right? So it's going to be more like this. Again, don't mind this. So we're just going to rotate this around again until I am directly in front. And now you're going to move it and assemble this way. Boom. All right, so you want it to be parallel with the ground, parallel with your bottom base. You see how it is? It's not on top of the base. So the next thing that you're going to do is you're going to cut that front side, okay? And so in order to do this, you're going to have to scroll in. You're going to be selecting that. You're going to be right-clicking on it. You're going to hit explode, okay? Then you're going to hit your select button. Now, what you're going to be doing is using your tape measure tool, because we have to cut the angle where the roof is going to be, right? And so to do that, what we're going to be doing is on the inside portion, you're going to measure 1/8 of an inch. 1/8 of an inch. Going to put a little mark there for you. You can see the mark. So now you're going to grab your pencil or line tool, and from that mark, you're going to draw a line straight to the other edge. And that is the 1/8 of an inch that is going to need to be cut off for the angle of the roof. And so to get rid of that here in SketchUp, you're going to use your push-pull tool, and you're going to push it off until it disappears, right? And so that's our first piece, ready for assembly, right? So our roof, when we put our roof on, it's going to be 1/8 of an inch angled roof, so that way the water rolls off. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting our sides on. Okay, so with our two side pieces, these are the two side pieces right here. Okay, so again, you're gonna select them all. Make sure it's fully selected. We'll make it into a group just for the rotation piece of it. Go back over here to our rotate tool. Again, SketchUp is all about angles, guys, so make sure you're on the right angle. Okay, we're going to put it on the face, right? We're going to rotate it up this direction, and boom. All right, so that's one rotation down. Now we have to rotate it to the side, okay? And so now what we're going to do is come up here on top. We're on the blue axis. Make sure you're centered. Hit the right click on your mouse, and then we're going to rotate it this direction. So there's two rotations that you need to do, and that's part number one. Okay, so now what we're going to do is go back over here to our move tool, and we're moving that up onto our board. And so part of that is just lining it up, and then I'm going to look straight at it. This is probably the easiest way. And then once I have that in there, I'm going to move it up. Blue axis. It's lined up. Okay. Pretty good. I'm going to move this over. Okay, so once you get it lined up, the next thing you have to do is you have to cut that angle, right? So we're going to be cutting that angle. So I'm going to hit my select tool. I'm going to right click here. I'm going to explode it out. And so now we're going to have to cut our piece. And so how we're going to do that is we're going to go back over here to our tape measure tool. Okay, let's hit the select tool. Let's unselect that. Let's go back to our tape measure tool. From the bottom edge, you're going to measure up 7.5 inches. So go ahead and type in 7.5 inches. It's going to give you that mark, that guide mark. And what you're going to do is now go to your line tool. And from that guide mark, you are going to draw a line to your edge. Once you do that, you're going to go to your push-pull tool. And this will be like you're cutting it off on the circular saw, right? So you're going to be cutting that out. And boom, now you're ready for your next edge. And so you can see that we have our 7.5, and now we're ready to keep going around. So next thing we have to do is our other side. And so now we're going to repeat that same process for the other side. And I'm going to let you guys skip forward to that, to the other side. Okay, guys, so we're back. Now we're set up onto our right side. right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing we did on the other side. We're going to right click on this. We're going to hit our explode. We're going to hit our select, unselect that, go to your measurement tool. And again, from the bottom, you're going to measure 7.5 inches up. So 7.5 inches, enter. That's going to leave that mark. You're going to go to your draw tool. And from that reference point, you're going to draw up to the corner. Grab your push pull, and then you're going to push that into the edge. And so now we have our right side done. And so now as we look at this, we have our front and our two sides complete. So the next side that we have to build is going to be our back side. And so now what we're going to do is go over here to our back side. We're going to select that again. You can triple click, make sure that all edges are selected. You can right click on that, make it into a group. Let's move this over here. And then all we have to do for this one is flip it one time. And so we're going to go to our move. We're going to hit our rotate. Okay, so we're going to be on that red axis. We're going to click it once, rotate it, click it twice, rotate it up. Right, hit our select, go back to our move, and let's bring it in. Okay, so same thing that we did on the back side, we have to do on this side as well, right? So we're going to have to cut that edge. And so we're just going to bring this in. And we're going to place our piece on here. All right, so you're going to hit your select, get into the right position that you want. Okay, and again, now this one right here, when you do this, you're going to be cutting that 1/8 of an inch off, right? So from the top side, first thing you have to do is you have to hit that select. You have to hit your explode. Then you hit your select again, unselect it, hit your tape measure, and then from that back side, you're going to measure down 1/8 of an inch. Let's do that one more time. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to take our draw line, our draw tool, we're going to scroll it in. From that reference point, we're going to draw up to the edge. That would be where we'd be cutting it. Go to our move tool, or push pull. And now you're going to select that edge and push it out. That would be like you were cutting it off. Okay, and so now we have our front, we have our sides, and now we have our back. The next thing that we're going to do, and we're almost done, guys, is going to be our top or our roof. And so this is the easiest one. So this one right here, select it all, make it into a group, move it over. And so the most complicated thing about this is that we have to rotate it to be the same angle as our birdhouse. So right here, we're going to hit our face, rotate it. You can use your protractor. You can see about the angle that you want, and then you're going to rotate it up to that angle. Once you rotate it, you're going to move it up here on top. Now on this right here, there is no real measurement, right? So we're just going to make sure that it's kind of where we want it. We want to make sure that back side is covered and make sure that front side is covered where the bird on the perch would be covered by any rain. Okay, so now the last couple of pieces that we have is just this feeder area. Okay, and then we'll be just doing our holes. So we're going to go back over here. So let's take a moment, save our project right now. Scroll out. Let's find those last pieces. Let's select them all and move them over. So that way they're closer. That way we don't have to go all the way over there. Okay. Now, what we want to do is these two are our right and left side of our feeder. Those are going to be down here, and then this is going to be the back side of the feeder. So the first thing that we're going to do is our back side. That would be the easiest one. So triple select, make sure all sides are selected. We're going to go to our rotate tool, rotating it there. Now we're going to go to our move tool, and we're going to move that onto the back side. Now this back side right here, as you move it in, again, this is going to be on the ground, right? So you're going to be, if you were assembling this, it would be level with your bottom base. Okay, and of course, this last one is going to give me some trouble. It's all about angles, so sometimes you just have to take a second to position yourself. It's like a game. And so now we're going to move this down and onto our piece right here. And that should be pretty good. Okay, so that piece is going to go here, and then we have our right and our left side. And so for these two pieces, I am going to make them into groups just to make it easier. And that way there's no chance that it's going to get caught on anything else. Sometimes when you're moving pieces over, they get caught on another piece, and then they'll end up screwing up your whole design. So on this one right here, we do have to rotate it a couple of times. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to rotate it on our red axis. And the next one that we're going to do is we're going to be rotating it on our blue axis. So we're on top of it. We want to rotate that angle. Boom. And let's do this real quick. All right, so we're selecting our move tool. And we're bringing this over here to our point. All right, so this is going to go right here. And so now this part right here, we are going to have to cut off. Okay, so on this one right here, this is, instead of being 5.5 inches wide, I'm going to select this, I'm going to explode it, and then I'm going to push it in. I'm going to give you that measurement here in a second. Okay, and so this is actually going to be 4 inches. Okay, and so how we're going to do this right now is I'm going to copy this onto the other side, so that way we don't have to do that whole movement around. Okay, guys, so finished up that back side of our feeder base. And so you can see we have both of our pieces here, and we have our backside piece. So the last thing that we have to do for this birdhouse is we have to cut our holes, which would be here and on top for our bottle. And then we're going to place our perch, right? So let's make the perches first. And so what we're going to do for the perch is that we're going to go over here to our circle tool. And here on the base, we're just going to draw we'll do a 1/8 inch radius circle. And so we're going to pull that up. I'm going to pull that up 3.5 inches. And so for either you can use these 1/8 inch dowels, which would be real 1/4 inch dowels, or you could also use colored pencils, right? So use things that you already have at home. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to triple click on this, make sure it's all selected. We're going to make that into a group. And then we're going to rotate it around because we're going to make a couple copies of this thing. Okay, and so let's go to the angle that we want, making sure that we are parallel with our project piece. And so now we're going to go to our rotate tool, and on the group we're going to rotate it around till it's parallel. And so now what we're going to do is, so in actuality, guys, I think what we're going to do is we'll select this again. Let's delete that. Let's make it easier for you. So let's do, so in reality, you would be using dowels. You'd be drilling a hole. You'd be putting those dowels in. But for this right here, let's do our holes, and then we're just going to place our dowels on the surface and we'll pull them out. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to drill our hole. And so it's going to be a 2-inch diameter hole. So we're going to find our center point here, okay? And we're going to go up to that center point on the face. You want to come back around so that way you can see the top, because you want to go from the top down. SketchUp is being funny today. I don't know why it's twisting like that. Okay, so let's do this here. Let's bring it down here. Okay, so let's do this. So from here, again, let's find the center point. You're going to go 3.5 inches down. It's going to give you a reference point on your piece. Okay, and then you're going to go from here. You're going to find your center point. Gives you that reference point. Now what you're going to do is, using the circle tool, you're going to select your circle tool, and using that reference point that you just found here on the center of your birdhouse, you're going to draw a circle that is going to be 1 inch in radius, so 2-inch diameter. Okay, and so once you do that circle, you're going to push and pull that out till it opens up. Let's do this again. Let's delete that line because I think it's messing me up. So push pull again. Get off the inside. Okay, so now you're hollowed out. Now you're on the inside of your birdhouse. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to go using your measurement tool again. You're going to go from that center of that circle. Actually, we'll go from the midpoint here, and instead of going there, we're going to go 5 5/8. Five 5/8. Okay. Get that measurement right there, and then from here you're going to delete that. You're going to use that circle tool again from that reference point that you just came out. You're going to build another circle. This time it's only going to be a 1/8 inch radius circle. That's the radius of a colored pencil. Once you do that, you're going to use your push-pull tool. On this one, you're going to pull it out. And this time you're going to pull it out 2.5 inches. There's your perch for your bird to sit on the front and go inside your birdhouse. And now you're going to do the same thing on the back, which is what you're going to be holding your bottle. Okay, and so you're going to have 2 of those. So first, let's do our hole on the top. Okay, and so let's get this measurement right here, which is going to be 1 5/16. So here from the center point, you're going to find your center point here. Let's do select. Let's explode the group. Now you should be able to find your center point. And from the center point, you're going to go 1. You're going to measure 1 5/8. Right? From there, you're going to take your circle tool again from that center point. You're going to draw out, and it's going to be a 1 inch again. Okay, that's where you're going to be drilling your hole. First thing let's do is erase this line right here, and you're going to use your push-pull to pull it down to the face. So drill the hole. Okay, this is where you're going to be placing your bottle for your feeder. And what we're going to do is we're going to place that bottle right now. So let's go up here to our components. In the 3D warehouse, we're going to look up glass bottle. And so when you build your birdhouse, you're going to be using any bottle that you have available at home. Okay, but for this one, we're going to use this glass bottle by Malik 641. Okay, we're going to place that. Here, we're going to use our rotate tool to rotate this around. Okay, now we're going to use our move tool to move that into place. So that's going to be going inside of our hole right here. Okay, and so you may need to adjust this hole based on the size of the bottle that you have. Okay, so it's being placed inside the hole. And then once you have your hole in place, now what you're going to have to do is add 2 holders, right? So there's no real measurements for this. It's going to be dependent on the size of your bottle, but you can be adding 2 dowels or 2 colored pencils, depending on whatever you have. Okay, and you're going to be right on the edge of your bottle. Okay, so I'm going to draw a 1/8 inch. Then I'm going to pull that out using my push-pull tool. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And so you'd be placing these dowels or these colored pencils just on the area where you think it will hold the bottle best, right? And I'm going to pull that out. It's going to be 2.5 inches. All right, so that is it. All we got to do is just pull this one in now. So it's around the same size. Okay. And so now you have your dowels that are holding this bottle in place. It's going to automatically feed. You're going to fill this bottle up and it's going to feed as this area down here gets depleted with food. It would automatically fill. You have your front side where your birdhouse is, right? And so the last thing that you would want to do now is paint, right? And so that's going to be really up to you guys. We'll do that real quick, okay? So we're going to go over here to our materials lists. Okay, we're going to close this one out, components. And so for me, I'm going to, let's do search. Let's go to colors. Okay, so I want to have a red. I want to have a red front and back, and then on the top, I'm going to make it a different color. Okay, so I'm going to go red on the front and back. My top is going to be blue. And so you're just going to go all the angles that you have. My perch is also going to be blue. And then on the back side, I'm going to go with a light gray. And let's finish up this coloring here. Get the red. So you want to get all your angles. Of course, all these would be colored. And that's it for the blue. All right, so that is the birdhouse complete, guys. We have all our pieces. We have all our pieces that have been colored. It is totally done, and it's ready for hanging. Okay, so this can hang. You can put a hook on the top, or you can put it onto a pole and have it attached to the side. Either way, that is the completion of the birdhouse. I hope you guys had fun with this project. Last thing you want to do is save it, and now you guys can start building, right? So make sure you use all your pieces that you have for the build and have fun with this project, guys. I will talk to you guys later.